Hey guys, welcome. So today we're actually refinishing this sewing table that I got from my grandmother, who has since passed, and it's custom sized to fit the sewing machine that she used to use, which I actually still have, and I'm gonna give it a bit of a facelift as well. But you can see it's in a bit of rough shape. I already have all of the hardware off and all of the drawers are out, so now we're working on sanding it down to get rid of this kind of cherry dark colored wood finish, and it has a bit of a sheen to it as well. So I'm just using an Orbital sander here with 100 grit sandpaper, and we're gonna go through and get as much of this off as we can. go. We now have it pretty well stripped down to like the natural wood, aside from some of the itty bitty pieces that I don't think it'll matter, kind of in between the grooves here. It was sort of difficult to get in there on some of them, but for the most part, definitely the shiny varnish. Oh yeah, I didn't do the back because you can't see it, and I was about to waste my time. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I know I said this was my grandma's table, so it's vintage, but we didn't know exactly what year it was from or when it was made. But actually when we were taking off the hardware, so right here is where the two flat pieces connect in, because it kind of folds in to cover this if you want it to be a full-on table, or you flip them open, and this is where you can put the sewing machine. So anyways, when we're taking off this hardware with the hinges, this dime was actually sitting in there, which was kind of cool. So it's from 1968. So assuming that my grandmother or grandfather didn't take this apart after they bought it and hide that in there as a joke, which may be behind it, I don't know. I'm assuming this is from 1968, but like that's with an asterisk. But yeah, so now I'm just going to wipe everything down, get all the little, you know, like the little kind of micro dust off of there so that it's a clean surface, and then we'll move on to the next step. Also wanted to take a second to show what my clothing looked like after doing all that sanding. Guys, it gets very dirty, so make sure if you're doing projects like this that you wear old things. You can see all the dust that's in there, and that's not even the beginning of it. I've changed a couple of times while doing this project and kind of like cleaned it out. So just make sure you're being conscious. As well, I'm wearing a bandana around my nose and my mouth to make sure I don't get any of the dust into my bronchial tubes. Just make sure you're being safe. As well, you should be wearing some sort of eye protection. I wasn't, but you should learn from my mistakes. Nothing happened, but just do it. So I just wiped down the fronts and sides and bottoms of the 3 drawers that go in the side of the table. And I was going to try and pull out these bottoms to give them like a really good clean. And then I was also thinking to stain them like a darker color, something just a little bit more forgiving of whatever is going on in there stain wise. But it looks like this is just put together with staples here and here and the back, and then this would slide out, but like not quite sure how I would make that happen, and I fear that it's stuck in there in a good way, and that if I were to pull it out, this would collapse or fall apart. So I'm gonna leave it as is, and just try and like get in there and scrape out any of the like dirt and stains that I can that remain, and then I might still stain the insides and like the sides here too, something a little bit darker. I'm thinking maybe early American, but I'm just gonna have to get a tiny little brush to get into these nooks and crannies, I guess, but we'll figure it out. Okay, you guys, I don't know if you can tell a difference, but let me just tell you the amount of dirt that came off the bottom of these and the insides of the sides of it as well. Slightly frightening. I guess this is about 50 years old, so it makes sense that just over time and in this like grain, because it's not like completely finished, so dirt can get all up in there. But yeah, I wish I had kept all the paper towels. That's just half of what I used for the last one, but out of paper towel now. It wasn't full when I started, but I used a good amount, and I had to change that water out twice because it kept getting like this, and it was counterintuitive to use it. So just so you know, if you care, I was using one of these with just water and scrubbing away at it. On some of the edges, there's still a little bit of buildup, or it might just be stained, but I'm gonna get an old toothbrush and give that a go around the edges once this dries up a bit. And this is a stain, like a clump stain, so I'm gonna get something like a little screwdriver or something, so I can try and like pry it off because it's kind of raised. But yeah, so now I basically want to go clean the inside of every single drawer that I own because it's pretty disgusting, but just telling you, so you know, if you're doing one of these projects, even if it looks clean or if the grain makes it look like it's not that dirty, like this one didn't have any big stains like this, so it didn't look that bad, but it was bad enough, so it's worth cleaning. Especially because this piece had been sitting in storage for probably like 8 years in my parents' like bunkie at home, so it was covered, it was safe, but there's still like stuff and dirt and dust on it, and especially if you're like picking up items off the side of the road, if you get it from a thrift store, like you don't know where it came from, so just always a good idea to give it a clean. And you can even use like a light cleaner, mix some vinegar with water and some essential oils if you want it to smell nice to cover up the musky scent that I am getting from this right now. So might actually go over it with that too. So just a tip. Okay, next step is painting. So in a perfect world, I would like to do this in a chalk paint, but we don't live in a perfect world, and right now we're in isolation. So we're gonna work with what we have. And luckily I have this hunter green in stock, in my stock, I should say. I think I have 2 of these cans. They're not both Krylon, but they're both hunter green and they're satin finishes. So I'm hoping that will cover all of it. Hopefully we can do 2 coats using that. We'll see how far it goes. So yeah, we're just gonna get creative and use spray paint in very light coatings. And then if that all goes to hell, then we can just leave this project for now, and then later on, when things are well in the world, we'll go and get some chalk paint and start from scratch. Because I want it to be kind of like a chalk paint finish, I would like for this to be a matte finish. It is not, and so I'm going to use this, which is the Chalked Matte Clear Top Coat, Protective Top Coat. And I'm going to do that over the top if I'm thinking that it's looking too shiny, but also just to give it like more durability in the long run. And we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to try and keep the old hardware because I think it kind of keeps that vintage vibe going. They currently are pulls that look like this. They have really nice detailing, so I'm going to give those a clean. And then I bought a kind of coppery color that I'm going to try and spray paint them and see if it gives them a little va-va-voom. have all of the hinges, and then these guys went on the top, kind of like where the sewing machine would go in, and I guess maybe they hold it in place, not quite sure, but we're gonna do them anyways. And then I have all of the screws, and I have them set up. I like to do this with screws is just paint the top of them so they don't stick out and they kind of match with the hardware itself. Looks a little bit more seamless, and I find it way easier to stick it into something. I usually have some styrofoam hanging around because we buy too many things. So conveniently I had this hanging around because it's garbage day today, or tonight I should say. So we're gonna use it while we have it. So the color that I am thinking to go with this green is this Copper Rose by Rust-oleum. It's a metallic finish. Is this one? No, it's not. I thought it was a hammered finish, but it's not, which is even better because I don't really like the hammered finishes. I like it to look a little bit more just flawless, I guess, especially because we already have texture in these pulls. I just want that to be highlighted, so it's just kind of like an overall not glossy finish, but you know, like metallic, like nice, like flawless. We want it flawless. So this is a paint and primer in one. I did scrub these pretty good last night with some soap and water to get any of the kind of like buildup. They weren't too bad actually for being so old, but they're nice and clean as they're gonna get. And so I'm just gonna do light coats of it, and we'll see how it looks. And then I'm just gonna do one of them at first to make sure I actually like the color. Probably do 2 coats on it just to see what it looks like, and then we'll go on and do the rest. Okay, change of plans. So I had initially thought I was gonna do that Copper Rose color with these. And then I was looking at it. I did this one. I do like it, but it's pulling more pink than I thought it would, like the rose more than the copper. I thought it was gonna be copper primarily featuring rose. It seems to be doing the opposite. So then I have, oh, I don't have it out here. This one, which is, what's it called? Pure gold, I think. Rust-oleum. Did one. I'm not in love with it. It's just kind of like blah gold. I've had it for a while and I keep not being able to use it on projects because I'm like never in love with it. But this one, this is gold leaf. And it's this guy. Krylon Shortcuts. I can only find it at Michael's. But this, because I always use it coupon whenever I'm at Michael's, ends up being like $3. So this is pretty much what I cover everything in my house with. So I kind of wanted to do something different and go the copper route. I think I'm gonna just do the gold leaf. And then down the road, if I get bored of it or it doesn't go good with the other accents for the room that I'm planning on putting this in, I just do them all in this because I have a whole can of it to use. So that's where we're at for now. So I'm gonna get all of the hardware done in this with this little guy, and I think I have another one that's like half done. The green is coming along beautifully, featuring my moccasins, and we're almost there. We're almost at the time of putting it back together, guys. This is exciting times. And for anyone who's curious, yes, I will be putting the 1968 dime right back where I found it, because why not? That's a cute piece of history to keep with the piece. Okay guys, this is it. It's all done. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Yeah, pretty much exactly what I envisioned. I love the gold with the hardware. I'm glad I went that route instead of the copper route for this point in time, at least. Maybe I'll switch it out down the road, who knows. But it's the perfect green. It's exactly what I envisioned, and I'm so happy. Stay tuned, because I am going to be doing, for my next video, I'm going to be giving the drawers a facelift. I found some cool scrapbook paper that I'm going to do a little craft with, so stay tuned for that for my next video. But for now, this is where we're at. And then just to show with it all close up, because this is probably how it will sit for the most part. Voila, the one side does sit up a little bit higher. I'm just gonna put some like heavy books and stuff on it to level this out. It's just the hinges are a little bit old, and with them being painted, they're just a little bit tight. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'd love if you would subscribe and follow me on my Instagram to see more kind of behind the scenes and up-to-date things. It's the same as my channel name, MelDidItHerself. Thanks so much. Bye.